Hello, chat. Guess who's late to their own stream because somebody had to show me something in Monster Prom. Not the new Monster Prom. The one where you drive around. The road trip Monster Prom. Apparently, there is a hitchhiker and it's Dahlia, but Dahlia is in like a washing machine. Like I don't know what's up with that. And I was like, hurry up and show me. And they took their sweet time, and Dahlia being stuck in a washing machine was what I was subjected to. The thing is that like Dahlia was in the washing machine, but Dahlia is like Goop. Dahlia is like the water in the washing machine. And I was like, the writers of Monster Prom were high when they came up with this, dude. They were high. They were high. Hi, Leo Flame. Wolfhead, we meet again. So it seems. Let me get the chapter where we are starting from. Read with me. Paste. Alright, we gotta finish this story. I didn't get to listen to the beginning, so I'm just here for support. Alright, I appreciate it. Smoke, you weren't here for the beginning of Princess Celestia Gets Mugged? I thought you were. Were you actually not here? That's weird. Like, what? Why is my brain telling me that Smoke was here? No clue. I think for a little bit of it. Oh, so you were at, like, the end. What I meant by it was I wasn't there for the whole stream. Okay, that's more detailed. Thank you. I actually wasn't here for the first part either. Okay, well, I suppose I need to give you a recap. Small recap. The story I am reading is about the concept of Princess Celestia being bored with her royal duties. So she wants to, she does that thing where she turns into a regular pony, or she disguises herself into a regular pony. Regular Pegasus, I should say. Goes about Canterlot. She ends up in a bad part of Canterlot and gets kidnapped, and now the ponies that have kidnapped her are trying to like get a ransom because they think the pony that is actually Princess Celestia knows Princess Celestia or is related to Princess Celestia, so they think they're gonna get like 10,000 bits or like 1,000,000 bits or something from Celestia when they've actually kidnapped the real Celestia. That's what's happening. Let's see. Boink. Yep, that's what that button does. Sorry, I don't want you to be confused. Listen, whenever I am confused, 70% of the time I do it to myself, so I will never blame you. We're starting at Dreamwalker. 3, 2, oh wait, should I? No, I shouldn't. I was gonna be like, we should get some background music, but I think the fire is fine. The sound of the fire crinkling in the fireplace, that should be fine. Okay, Chapter 4, Dreamwalker. Celestia licked her lips in anticipation. What the hell is about to happen here? Oh my god, that threw me off so much! Celestia licked her lips in anticipation. Celestia licked her lips in anticipation, and Mr. Xanadu cracked his neck. The two, and indeed the remaining kidnappers, were locked in an epic battle of skill, wit, and dominance. The slightest wrong move, the slightest sign of weakness, and the whole thing could come crashing down as an opponent completely cleaned up. Mr. Xanadu looked Celestia dead in the eye and cleared his throat. Miss Skies. Celestia smiled and fluttered her eyelashes. Yes. The stallion looked down at his cards. Do you have any threes? These motherfuckers are playing cards. Celestia looked down at her own cards, which were helpfully being held up for her by Miss Razmataz. I'm sorry, but go fish. Mr. Xanadu groaned and levitated a card from the deck in front of him. He sighed and put it in his collection. I don't have any luck today, do I? Celestia lightly snickered, then looked down at her own cards. Well, it's my turn, I guess. She frowned slightly and scanned her opponents for a moment. Miss Follow. Miss Follow? Miss Follow. You wouldn't happen to have any princesses in your possession, would you? Miss Follow grimaced. Yeah, but I only have one. She slid a single card towards Celestia. Her face split into a wide grin, and she nodded to Miss Razmataz, who promptly placed Celestia's 4 remaining cards on the table. That's 4 of a kind. Celestia smiled and bumped shoulders with Miss Razmataz as her replacement for a high hoof. I'm out. Her opponents groaned in defeat and threw her own cards on the table. I only needed 1 more 7 and 1 more 6. Miss Follow huffed. She glanced over at the cards of Mr. Xanadu. And just my luck, you had them both. Well, ladies and gentle colt, that was a fun game. Celestia shifted in her seat to get a little more comfortable. Would you like another round, or would something more challenging be of interest to you? Mr. Xanadu gathered up the cards and began shuffling them. What do you have in mind? Celestia chuckled in a manner that reminded her of a con main villain. Does poker sound appealing to you? Celestia is going to have all these ponies in the palm of her hoof. Immediately, the faces of all 3 ponies brightened, and they eagerly nodded. Yeah, we can use the money we got from you as betting currency, said Miss Follow. That sounds like a wonderful idea. Mr. Xanadu levitating the bag of bits that the group had taken from Celestia during her kidnapping and began dealing out the stacks to individual players. Celestia thanked her captor while Miss Razmataz dealt each pony 5 cards. Scene change. Princess Luna took a deep breath as she sat down in front of the cell holding one of her sister's captures. The unicorn was still passed out, and now he was resting in one of the palace's jail cells. Luna glared and a growl played at her lips. Soon your secrets will be mine. After relaxing her body a little more, Luna ignited her horn and closed her eyes. She let a blanket of pure magic fall over her. She reached out with her consciousness and scanned the immediate area for any life forms around her. Given her proximity to the prisoner, it was not but a second until she sensed his presence, and she reached out to connect her magic to his subconscious. She would find his dreams there. Oh, we dreamwalking, lads. The instant her magic touched his mind, she felt something akin to being pulled forwards by a great force, and when the feeling ceased, she opened her eyes to find herself in what appeared to be a palace. She frowned, but mused that it was not unusual for ponies to have dreams of grandeur. Of course, he could be dreaming that he was a servant. She extended a bit more of her magic until she was disguised as a dark blue unicorn. Given the reason the hoodlum was unconscious in the first place, it would likely benefit her cause if she wasn't interrogating him as herself. She could catch more flies with cake than promises of incineration. Luna quickly lumbered up, then trotted down the hall towards what seemed to be 2 large doors guarded by 2 stoic unicorn ponies in heavy armor. To Luna's surprise, They both smiled when she approached. "Ah, you're here," said the one on the left. "Go in, he's waiting for you." Luna raised an eyebrow in confusion. "What do you mean?" "You are the escort that Prince..." The escort? "You are the escort that Prince Nakarit ordered, are you not?" the second guard asked. Luna opened her mouth to insist that she was no common mare of the evening, but she remembered that she was technically in disguise for the interrogation, so she might as well play along. She's gonna step on his balls. She's gonna step on his balls. She could quickly turn this dream into a nightmare if it got too out of hook. Doing her best to hold back the urge to vomit, she gave both of the guards her best seductive expression. "Why, of course I am," she cooed. "I shall go in at once to see Prince Nakarit." The guards inclined their heads in a slight bow, and the one on the left pushed the door open for her. Luna thanked him and walked in, sticking her tongue out in disgust once she knew they couldn't see her. Sighing to herself, Luna began walking across the room. On the other side was a large golden throne, encrusted with every kind of gem she could imagine. One said throne reclined the hoodlum who had taken her sister. She had to hold back more feelings of disgust when she saw that he was flanked by two mares, one of whom was fanning him with a palm branch, while the other fed him grapes right off the stem. She fought the urge to face Hoof as she stopped in front of the throne. The stallion looked up when he heard her approach and grinned at the Luna. "Ah, you're here." With a wave of his hoof, the two mares next to him bowed and exited the room. The stallion sat up in the throne and beckoned Luna a few steps closer. "So, you're the mare that they sent for my entertainment." Oh, God. Luna once more fought the urge to obliterate the insolent fool, but she forced a smile on her face. "Yes, I have been sent here to do whatever it is you desire," and her charade faltered ever so slightly as the stallion's grin widened with her every word. She growled to herself, "Tia, the things I do for you." The stallion chuckled and hopped off his throne. "You must be new." Luna grumbled something very unprincess-like to herself as the stallion walked up to her. "Well, let's go somewhere private, shall we? I'll help you out." The stallion beckoned Luna towards a back room, and Luna followed. She promised to order his execution the moment she had the information she needed. But for now, the charade would need to be upheld. She rued that forcibly reading his mind would be unethical. I mean, at this point... Smoke, why are you lurking at me right now? Smoke just hit the wolf lurk. You lurking in on the story? But yeah, I switched some emotes around. If you're following me, you get a free wolf lurk. And the purpose of the wolf lurk is to go in each other's, is to go into another stream if you're following me and then hit them with the wolf lurk to tell the streamer that, hey, I'm lurking. Like, I don't say anything in chat, but I'm lurking. Where was I? The stallion threw the doors of the back room open, revealing a room almost as large as Luna's room in the castle. The one defining feature, though, was that every square inch of the floor was covered in plush pillows that admittedly looked quite comfortable. Nakarit sat down on one of the pillows and indicated that Luna should do the same. Luna placed herself 2 pillows away from him. "I suppose you wish to be intimate now, yes?" She deadpanned. "I suppose you wish to be intimate now, yes?" The back rooms? This isn't the back rooms. This is a dream. We're in one of these guys' dream, and he's about to make a move on Luna. But Luna's not going to have it. To Luna's surprise, the large grin that the stallion had sported to this point faded into a look of embarrassment. Ah, yes, that. He looked uneasy at the ground and scratched the back of his neck. See, I was kind of hoping you knew more about that. He's a virgin! He's a virgin! Chad, he's a virgin! Point and laugh at him! Point and laugh! Wolf lol! He is a virgin! He is a virgin! Actually, don't laugh. That's not funny. I'm just being a little shit. If you're a virgin, it doesn't matter. Where was I? He looked uneasily at the ground and scratched the back of his neck. See, I was kind of hoping you knew more about that. His eyes shot up, and he held a hoof to forestall Luna's response. Now, not that I know what that is. It's just that... Luna actually did face-hoof that time. In fact, she double face-hoofed him. You are joking. You must be joking. I'm clipping that. Please clip it. I will want it. Well, no, the stallion admitted. But if you don't want to because I don't know, that's cool too. We can do other stuff. Luna removed her hooves from her face and glared at him. Oh? What do you suggest? The stallion's smile returned full force at the question, and he bounced over to her and literally pushed her onto her back before she could obliterate him. He placed one of his hooves on her belly and began rubbing. How dare you place your hooves on me in such a manner? Luna sputtered. I demand you cease giving me a belly rub at once. The stallion chuckled but did not stop. It's okay. I used to be a professional masseur. I know what I'm doing. That matters not, Luna snapped. You shall take your... Luna's protests were cut off when a wave of relaxation hit her, and the condemning words she was going to say died in her throat. Oh. The stallion smirked at her. Again, I used to be a professional masseur. When you get tired of this, just let me know, and I'll give you one of my Equestria famous back rubs, okay? That... Luna inwardly groaned as all thoughts of her mission drained away. Me, damn it. Why did you call the clip, whoa, not cool? Also, we're at the end of the chapter, by the way. Next chapter. What is the next chapter? A hint of a location. I gotta play this, chat. Hold on. What the hell? The back rooms? This isn't the back rooms. This is a dream. We're in one of these guys' dream, and he's about to make a move on Luna. But Luna's not gonna have it. To Luna's surprise, the large grin that the stallion had sported to this point faded into a look of embarrassment. Ah, yes, that. He looked uneasy at the ground and scratched the back of his neck. See, I was kind of hoping you knew more about that. He's a virgin! He's a virgin! Chad, he's a virgin! Point and laugh at him! I'm an idiot. I'm a dumbass. Unfortunately, sadly, I couldn't get the full thing. Don't worry. I'll probably get the VOD later and do it myself. Turn it into a short or something. A hint of a location. When Princess Luna finally exited the mind of the stallion 4 hours later. What do you mean 4 hours later? Like in dream time or in actual time? After some of the best massage therapy she had ever experienced, it was with mixed feelings. On one hoof, she still wasn't any closer to finding her sister. Did you just get a massage and leave? On the other, those massages. Her shoulders hadn't felt so good in years. Wait, why would they be your shoulders? Your dream body got massaged. Why would your real body... You know what, never mind. She smiled dumbly at the unconscious stallion before her. Normally, the fact that it was fear that had knocked him out would only leave him down for an hour at most. With his skills, Luna had used some of her magic to make sure that he stayed down long enough to finish his massage. Of course, there was still the major issue of the fact that she still didn't know where her sister was. Her smile faded, and she thunked the side of her head for letting personal pleasures get in the way of locating Celestia. How foolish and selfish of me, Luna muttered. I did not ask him about Tia once. Before the Luna could do anything more, she heard the door to the dungeon open. She turned to the door and saw Captain Shining Armor trot down the stairs towards her. She gave him a slight nod, and he returned it with a small bow. Any luck, Princess? Luna sighed and shook her head. It would seem that the rogue has the best taught mind-blocking techniques from whatever conspiracy group employed his services. You lying sack of garbage. She scratched her lower jaw thoughtfully and peered at the prisoner. I may have to use more unorthodox methods to obtain the information we require. Which chapter is it now? We're on chapter 5. We're on chapter 5. 5, right? Yeah, 5. We're on chapter 5? 5. Luna turned to Shining Armor with the intent of acquiring his opinion, but she was surprised to see him looking suspiciously at her. His eyes were narrowed, and he was clenching his jaw as though he wanted to say something, but thought better of it. Luna cocked her head. Has an issue arisen? Shining Armor bit his lip and scratched one of his forelegs uneasily. Luna scoffed and rolled her eyes. Permission to speak freely granted. Well, Shining Armor cleared his throat. I'm having a little trouble buying that he can mentally block you. I mean, that's what she said, right? I can't find it. Dreamwalker. No, that's the last chapter. Am I gonna have to... Oh my god, I think I am. Okay. That's the Dreamwalker link. I'm on the next chapter, which is this link. A hint of a location. It's this one. Ignore Smoke's link. Pay attention to my link. Alright. And I'm a little bit down. I'm at Shining Armor. Luna raised an eyebrow. You doubt the truth of my statements? Yes, actually. Yep, Shining Armor trotted over to the bars and examined the stallion behind them. I'm having a little trouble believing that a stallion so dumb that he personally delivered the ransom note to the palace has the brain power to block the pony who raises the moon every night and whose dream-walking spells are the stuff of legends. I just shared the link you shared, my B. Yeah, that's my fault. I don't know, man. Maybe I should get rid of this, like, pinned tweet. Or pinned tweet. This pinned, thing. And just, like, every time I go to another chapter, I just post the chapter in the chat. Alright, let's try that. Get rid of this. Unpinned message. There we go. And pin this one. There we go. Where am I? Spells of the stuff of legends. Luna puffed out her chest. I have never failed to get a dream confession. And you want your record to be blemished by him? Instantly, Luna's smug demeanor deflated, and with it, the lies. I do not wish to relay what took place in his dreams. It is a matter between him and I. Don't tell him that! Shining Armor raised an eyebrow, and the first traces of a smirk tugged at the corners of his mouth. Luna scoffed and stepped backwards. Take your mind and remove it from the gutter, Captain. My interactions are private. Luna narrowed her eyes and leaned in. As is this conversation, unless you wish to have the soldiers under your command made aware of the games you play with your bride in the middle of the night. Shining Armor's nostrils flared, and his stance became more dominant, yet slightly fearful at the same time. Hey, Candyland is a fun game. It was Cadence's favorite when she was growing up. Jesus Christ. But that as it may, must you squee like a schoolful when you reach Princess Lolly. Shining Armor groaned and waved a hoof in defeat. Okay, I won't tell anybody. The captain turned his gaze back to the prisoner. Still, it would be best to interrogate him somehow. He is still our best bet for finding Princess Luna. She roasted that man's. Yeah, she got him. She got him. That's a terrifying ability to have. Well, not an ability to have, but just like dealing with somebody who has the ability to look inside your fucking mind. And that's Luna. I would never argue with Luna. She would know everything about me. Okay, where was I? Luna sighed and nodded. You speak the truth. I shall awaken him and let you attempt to secure a confession. I am... Luna hesitated. Biased, and I fear it would affect our attempts. Shining Armor rolled his eyes as Luna fired up her horn to wake Mr. Nakarit up. Whatever you say, princess, whatever you say. Scene change. Poker had gone as well as Celestia could have hoped. She had won back a good portion of her bits within an hour or so. She now sat in front of Mr. Xanadu, the only remaining player, with a grin on her face. The stallion in question still had a fair amount of bits left himself, but Celestia had been chiseling his winnings away as the hours had passed on. Princess Celestia shifted in her chair and motioned for Miss Razzmatazz to deal the cards once more. The mayor dealt both parties 5 cards and pushed 3 bits in for the starting round. She lifted up Celestia's cards and fanned them out so she could see them. Ace of clubs, Princess of clubs, 9 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, and Queen of spades. Celestia's eyes flickered up at Mr. Xanadu, hoping to gauge his reaction to his cards, but he had a surprisingly good poker face. She mused that was probably the only reason that he was still in the game, as the others weren't. Miss Follow literally squealed in delight whenever she got as much as a pair of 3s. No. Focus. Win back the bits and then see what they do with that, thought Celestia. She whispered in Miss Razzmatazz's ear to indicate which card she wanted switched out, and received 3 new ones, while Mr. Xanadu received 2. Celestia stared blankly at her cards, but was surprised to hear Mr. Xanadu speak. All in. Celestia looked up at him and raised an eyebrow. Did he seriously? She shrugged and nodded to Miss Razzmatazz. Put the equal amount in. I call. Miss Razzmatazz nodded. Whatever you say, Miss Skies. She pushed the proper amount into the pile. Okay, show him, Mr. Xanadu, he corrected. He glanced back down at his cards. Can I actually take that back? Wait a minute. Celestia chuckled. No, it's too late now. What do you have? Mr. Xanadu bit his lip nervously, but she slowly placed his cards down on the table. I have a pair of 10s. Celestia snorted and had Miss Razzmatazz place her own cards on the table. Pair of princesses. I win. Mr. Xanadu groaned and the rest of the party cheered Celestia's victory. Miss Razzmatazz scooped the bits into Celestia's coin purse. Nicely done, Miss Skies. Winning on a pair of princesses. She turned her head to Mr. Xanadu. Must be pretty embarrassing. Before Mr. Xanadu could respond, Miss Follow let out a loud gasp and shot to her hooves. Princesses! We haven't heard back from Mr. Nakarit with the princess's answer. Oh yeah, we were doing something like that, weren't we? Said Miss Razzmatazz. Huh. What a thing to forget. Well, if he isn't back, what do you think that means? Mr. Xanadu frowned and stood up from the table. Should we sit and wait for him, or should we do something else? He's been gone for 6 hours, Miss Razzmatazz pointed out. If he was going to be back, he would have already been back. She shook her head and stood up. No, I think we need to come up with a contingency plan. Like what? Asked Miss Follow. I think the best course of action is to take Sunny Skies somewhere else. Miss Razzmatazz placed the coin purse back in Celestia's saddlebag and slung it over her shoulder. Mr. Nakarit can't turn us in if he doesn't know where we are. An excellent suggestion, said Mr. Xanadu. We could take her to my mom's place for a few blocks from here. She's vacationing in Las Pegasus. Good, Miss Razzmatazz sighed. Look, Miss Skies, I'm really sorry to have to do this to you again, but you know. Celestia once more felt the pillow feeling on her back. Wait. Celestia once more felt the pillow feeling on the back of her head. She once more dramatically fainted, letting her body completely relax. She soon felt the ropes around her slide off, and she was gently levitated onto the floor. She once more felt ropes tighten over her as her captors bound her legs together. You know, if we keep knocking her out, we might really hurt her, Miss Fallow pointed out. Maybe something a little less dangerous next time, yeah? She's right, said Mr. Xanadu. If we actually do hurt her bad, we'd get a lot worse than jail time for robbery and kidnapping. This is one of Celestia's most trusted servants. Celestia heard Miss Razzmatazz grunt in agreement. I suppose you're right. If there's a next time, we'll just hijack a taxi or something. That'll be easier and safer for all of us. The others voiced their agreement, and Miss Razzmatazz fired up her horn. Okay, let's wrap her in this sheet. No pony will see us move her if we do. Scene change. Princess Luna was reclining in her room, reading the copy of Pinkie Pie's diary that she had made when she last visited Ponyville. What? Reading the copy of Pinkie Pie's diary? Pinkie Pie has a diary? Yeah. Why does Pinkie Pie have a diary? You know what? Whatever. Pinkie Pie's diary that she had made when she last visited Ponyville. When she heard a loud knock on the door, she sighed and marked her spot. Enter. The door opened and Shining Armor walked in with a smug smile on his face. We got it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Luna tossed the diary aside and stood up. Where's my sister? They took her to an old apartment complex a few blocks from Donut Joe's place. He beckoned Luna to follow him. Apparently, they nabbed her in an alley about half a block from that. We must sally forth and reobtain my sister with all speed. Assemble your finest soldiers to aid in the retrieval. Shining Armor nodded and signaled to two nearby stallions, who saluted and ran off. Did that ruffian give you any more information? Shining Armor shook his head. Nothing relevant. He and his group didn't say how large it is. Don't know that they have Princess Celestia, so that can only be good. I didn't get much more than that. It matters not, said Luna with a wave of her hoof. I shall deal with such matters when we have reclaimed my sister and put an end to those ruffians who took her. What are you planning on doing to them? Shining Armor looked over at his assembling troops. I mean, it's unlikely that they've hurt her at all. Kidnapping a princess holds only one punishment. Death. A scowl crossed Luna's face. It matters not how blatantly idiotic those foes are. It is still against all of our most sacred laws to kidnap the pony who rises the sun. Luna shook her head. They shall die soon after their capture. Jesus Christ. Huh. I'm surprised that kidnapping a princess has come up enough to warrant its own law. Shining Armor shrugged. Should we execute the one we have now? Despite everything, Shining Armor had to hold back a smirk. He was just as responsible for everything, and I think we've gotten everything out of him that we can. On the other hoof, it would be barbaric to execute them without a fair trial, said Luna quickly. Some of those old laws are barbaric, and perhaps there is some aspect of the case we are unaware of. If you say so, Princess. Shining Armor chuckled. A fair trial it is. Should we start on his now or wait until we have all of them? Luna scowled. We shall wait. He is in no state to endure trial. It would be unjust of us to force one upon him now. Before Shining Armor could respond, a page darted across Luna and sank to his knees in a hasty bow. But Princess Luna, there has been an issue. Luna frowned. Well, out with your message. Of course, Your Majesty. The page cleared his throat. What the hell? The page cleared his throat and pointed back towards the castle. There is a group of nobles in your courtroom as we speak. They are demanding to speak with Princess Celestia at once. I'm not sure what about, but I know she's taking the day off, and I figured that it would be the best if you handled it. Luna glanced at the palace and let out a low groan before looking over at Shining Armor. The captain sighed. It's okay, Princess. We've got this. It is not that I am worried about. Luna rubbed one of her temples. Those nobles can be childlike. I know, but just remember that you're the one in control in the situation, not them. Luna slowly nodded. Very well. Lead the way. The page bowed once more and led Luna back towards the throne room. Shining Armor watched her go, almost wanting to play a round of taps for her. But she didn't need to hear that. Instead, he turned to his soldiers with a determined look in his eyes. Okay, mares and gentle colts, you all know the mission. Shining Armor began pacing back and forth. Today we rescued Princess Celestia from kidnappers. If all goes well, then I'll be buying the cider tonight. The captain stopped in his tracks and turned to face his guards. If it doesn't, then Iron Hoof shall be buying the cider. Oh, come on, cried a guard in the back row. Shining Armor shrugged. Hey, I'm not the one who gets a large alimony check. If you didn't want to buy the cider for failed missions, then you should have lost in court when you got divorced. Shining Armor shook his head and waved his hoof. But that's not important right now. What's more important is that we go get the princess. The collective guards cheered and raised their hoofs into the air. Shining Armor levitated his helmet onto his head and pointed in the direction of the castle gates. Let's do this! That was chapter... Where the hell are we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That was chapter 5. Now we start at the nobility. Let me get the nobility. Remove this. Unpin. Paste. Enter. Pin. Man, being a Twitch streamer is awesome. New chapter, folks. New chapter. We're on a new chapter. The nobility. And nobility is in quotation marks. So I don't know what the hell they mean by that. Here we go. Princess Luna walked into the throne room and was horrified to see a group of no less than 6 representatives from the nearby noble families in Canterlot. She managed to hold her head up and greet them with a nod. The 6 exchanged quite quiet grumbles, but bowed to her as she sat on the throne. Good afternoon, subjects. She used her magic to fluff the pillow on the throne and adjust her tiara. To what do I owe the pleasure of this visit? The representatives undoubtedly heard the sarcasm in her voice, but they didn't comment on it. It was a sign that Luna wouldn't take their nonsense if she could help it. One of them exchanged an ominous nod with another and stepped forwards. We were under the impression that Princess Celestia would see us, as per requested. His eyes scanned Luna. You don't look like her to me. Where is she? They are very different ponies. Luna scowled, and she leaned forward. Am I not regal enough for you? It would be unfortunate if I had to rescind your moon pie privileges whenever you visited. Moon pie privileges? Another representative rolled his eyes and snorted. As if. A vein in Luna's neck bulged and her right eye twitched as she struggled to prevent herself from incinerating the pony in front of her. You doubt us? Very well. Your moon pie privileges are rescinded forever. No! Not the moon pie privileges, man! One of the nobles breathed what seemed to be Luna to be a sigh of relief. Oh, good. I know, I always hated them, another muttered. Too rich for my taste. Luna gasped and shot out her hooves. Shot to her hooves. How dare you? Why I never? Luna's eyes darkened as she flared her wings out. That is blasphemy! What the fuck are the moon pies, chat? What is she talking about? Is that like a pastry? Moon pies? Oh, you know what they probably are? They're probably pies made out of moon dust. I can totally see the shows doing that. I can totally see the show having Luna make moon pies, but they're terrible because she makes them with moon rocks. I can totally see that happening. As Luna struggled to regain her thought process, another page ran up to one of the nobles and whispered something in his ear. The noble raised his eyebrow and he leaned into the rest of them to spread the word. The reactions were similar, and they turned back to Luna just in time for her to regain her thought process. So, Princess Luna, one of them began, why can't we see Celestia? Luna's glower returned full force. My sister has taken a personal day. It is not my place to disturb her for the likes of you. There is a snack called moon pie. Look it up. It's an old snack. I will look it up after the story. Or after this chapter, anyway. Oh really? Said another. I find that interesting because Princess Celestia doesn't take personal days. Not without some warning, anyway. Why would you know that? You don't know that. But we had a meeting scheduled for today, the first noble whined. Oh, wait, hold on. I do not understand my sister's thought process, Luna growled. It is none of your concern what she chooses her day to be like. But we had a meeting scheduled for today. But prom's in an hour. The first noble whined. She sent me in her place. Luna raised her snout into the air in a spot-on interpretation of the normal look of the nobles as they walked around Canterlot. I am a princess too. Never forget that. The second noble's smirk widened, and she took a small step forward. You know, Princess Luna, Celestia obviously doesn't tell us everything because she can't, but she's pretty excellent at masking her emotions when she's hiding something big. I've been coming to this court long enough to know that. Why? You know what? Never mind. I'm not gonna criticize. I'm not gonna criticize the noble. I'm just gonna read. Luna opened one eye and made eye contact with the noble. What are you implying? The noble smirked. I'm saying that it's hard to tell when she's hiding something, so I have to pay attention to the atmosphere to see if she is. Well, the atmosphere here is that you won't tell us where Princess Celestia is, And Princess Celestia always tells us when she's taking a personal day in advance, as well as telling us generally what she will be doing in case she has to be reached for an emergency. Get on with your accusations or remove yourself from this hall, Luna snarled. I am not on trial here, nor are you a lawyer. The noble raised a hoof defensively, but the smirk never left her lips. What I'm getting at is, it seems that Celestia has disappeared, and you won't tell me where she is. Something uncharacteristic of her. Not only that, but I've just received word that a platoon of royal guards has just left the castle. They're undergoing a training exercise, Luna retorted. That is not so unusual. A training exercise where they're shouting things like, let's do this thing, and let's go find the princess. Cat's out of the bag now. She licked her lips as if viewing Luna as a fly that she had caught in her web. Where is Princess Celestia, and why are the guards looking for her? Luna growled and hopped off of her throne. She leaned forward and nearly touched the snout of her insolent noble. You would do well to listen to me. The matters of the castle are not the concern of you. My sister is taking a personal day, and the guards are undergoing training. With Captain Shining Armor at the helm? Indeed, Luna shouted, the force of her voice blowing the noble's hair back. He needs to exercise occasionally as well. The noble shrugged. I suppose so, but there is more going on here than you will admit. I think even a commoner could see that. Her smirk returned full force, with a bit more determination and menace behind it. I'm going to find out what is going on. I'm going to find out and tell all of Equestria, she chuckled. Or are you going to rescind my right to free speech as well as my right to moon pies? I suppose I cannot. Luna straightened up and raised her nose again. However, you shall find yourself a guest at Hotel Moon next time you visit the castle. The five nobles gasped, and even the one who had been talking took an uneasy step backwards and flattened her ears against her head. You mean that run-down motel thing that's like 80 blocks from here? Luna nodded smugly. Indeed. I hope you enjoy spending time with the cockroaches. It will be refreshing to see you among your own kind. Damn. Luna's glare returned, and she flared out her wings. Begone with you all. I have other matters to attend to. The nobles had to hold back grumbles of displeasure as they bowed, but they left the throne room ominously, whispering amongst themselves. Luna shook her head as she watched them go. She sighed. Captain Armor returned my sister with all speed. Okay. Man, she about to kill a stallion. Not Hotel Moon. Oh, I thought she was sending them to the moon. Hotel Moon is just the phrase that she uses to send them to the moon. Alright, next chapter. Let's get rid of this. Unpinned message. What is the next chapter? The news. This is a long chapter. Tell you what, we're going to read the news, and then after that, we're going to take a short break, run a couple of ads, and then we'll read the last two chapters after the news. The news! Wait, I gotta copy the link here. There we go. Pin. There we go. New chapter, lads. New chapter. Man, I'm probably gonna miss it. I've got to sleep for work in the morning in a few. Well, this is why you can, like, watch it whenever you want on YouTube over at youtube.com/wolfheadbrony. Because I will be uploading the VOD of this. I don't know when. I'm soon, maybe. You just will miss, like, the live recording of this. But you can watch the VOD recording of it whenever you want. Okay, let's start. The news. I don't like it. Something's up. Quick Quill glanced up at his friend from his spot on the lounge couch and rolled his eyes. Fast talker? Just because Princess Luna acted weird in front of a group of nasty nobles doesn't mean that something's up. He shook his head and returned to his book. You look for conspiracies everywhere. It's a bit annoying. Fast Talker glared at his partner. You know, one of these days I'm gonna be right. It's gonna happen. I'm going to hit it big with a story. You're not going to do that by publishing stories about how Sapphire Shores is secretly a stallion dating Fancy Pants' wife. A small smirk crossed Quick Quill's face. I'm still amazed you weren't fired for that one. I've never seen the boss laugh so hard in his life. Fast Talker's glare shifted to a scowl. Just you wait. I know there's something going on with the princesses today, and I'm going to find out what. Fast Talker trotted up to his friend and pushed the book away. Look, an entire regiment of guards moved out from the castle today. There were too many of them for it to just have been a training exercise. It has to be something more. Quick Quill frowned and put his book back up. Why is that? Refresh my memory. When was the last time you saw a training exercise of that size? Plus, I can read ponies. Quill, something was up. Quick Quill rolled his eyes and placed his book down. Okay, we'll go investigate the guards. But if we get caught or it's nothing, I'm going to suggest your termination to the boss. Got it? Fast Talker rolled his eyes, but he grinned. He rushed over to his saddlebag and strapped it to his back. Come on, buddy of mine. We've got an entire platoon of Royal Guards to stalk. Quick Quill groaned and shook his head. Even if it is something, I'm going to request a different partner. Wolfbogging. Scene change. Shining Armor and his soldiers stood outside the apartment building that the captured kidnapper had led them to. Alrighty then, this is it. Do you have all exits covered? Shining Armor's lieutenant nodded. Yep. So, unless they've already left, they're not going to escape. Yep. He turned to his lieutenant and smiled confidently. Well, Lieutenant, might as well not waste any more time. He pointed towards the building. Send Alpha, Beta, and Woodpecker teams in. The lieutenant saluted and pointed towards the building. Instantly, the Pegasi guards flew through the windows of the apartment, while the other groups burst through the entrances. Shining Armor himself led Woodpecker team through the front entrance, his horn flaring up to protect the soldiers. Can't be too careful with criminal masterminds like this. The room in question was on the second floor, room 206. In no time at all, they were outside the door. Shining Armor raised a hoof to signal his colts to stop. He waved his hoof, and his lieutenant moved in behind him while two more of his men took positions to either side of the door. Shining Armor himself moved in front of the door and charged up his horn. He glanced to the left, then the right, and nodded. With one short burst of magic, the door was blown off its hinges, allowing the guards to charge into the room. Shining Armor ran right after them, and they began to search the dingy apartment for any sign of either another kidnapper or Princess Celestia. Unfortunately, it quickly became apparent that the apartment was quite empty. Shining Armor's heart sank as he heard more and more shouts of clear from the guards searching the few rooms the apartment had to offer. She wasn't here. He closed his eyes and shook his head as the second in command walked up behind him. Where do you think she could be? Shining Armor shrugged. Anywhere. I have to imagine that she's close, but here is not where she is. The lieutenant opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, a team of Pegasi burst through the windows with a loud war cry. The leader of the team landed on the floor, flaring out his wings. Unhook Princess Celestia right now, you... He scanned the room with a bewildered look on his face. Did we get the wrong apartment again? Shining Armor frowned. What do you mean by that? The team leader looked over at his captain, blinking in surprise. Oh, Captain. His ears flattened under Shining Armor's gaze. We may have crashed through the incorrect window when we first came into the building. That family was very understanding, though, another guard pointed out. Shining Armor groaned and face-offed. You have got to be kidding me. He sighed and walked over to the broken window. I'm sorry to say this, but it seems that Princess Celestia is not here. She would have to have been moved in the past 6 hours, which means she could be anywhere from here to the train station by now. Wouldn't it be hard to sneak her onto the train? The lieutenant questioned. I mean, she kind of sticks out, doesn't she? Shining Armor nodded. That's why I think whoever took Princess Celestia is still in the city. The problem is, Canterlot is not like Ponyville. There are dozens, if not hundreds of places that she could have been taken. But we also have to keep in mind that she's disguised as a pink-maned Pegasus named Sunny Skies. That would make her harder to spot. Shining Armor turned to his soldiers. I want teams sweeping every inch of this apartment and the surrounding grounds. Any clue regarding her whereabouts is to be brought to my personal attention at once. Is that clear? The two guards saluted. Scene change. Tell me you got that, Fast Talker whispered. I got it, but I can't believe it. Quick Quill collapsed his small portable microphone and shut off his tape recorder. Princess Celestia has been kidnapped. Fast Talker nodded dumbly before another wide smile split his face. This is big. The biggest story of our career, Quick Quill agreed. Fast Talker threw his forelegs around his partner's shoulder. What do you think? Major raises for the both of us? If we don't get some serious cash for this, I will personally quit and give this recording to any newspaper that will pay us for this story. That's my cult. Fast Talker slapped his partner on the back. Quick Quill, my friend, I think we have a story to write. Scene change. Princess Celestia felt herself being taken out of the sheet after a 15-minute walk. Based on the sound she had heard, they were in some sort of suburb not far from the apartment complex. Oh yes, it would be fun to see how Luna and Shining Armor found her here. She felt herself being lifted into the air and placed down on the chair again. She was secured to the chair with ropes again, which she took as a cue to open her eyes. She saw her three kidnappers looking anxiously at her as she woke up. I'm so sorry we did that again, Miss Skies, said Mr. Xanadu. Hopefully we won't have to do it again. Celestia groggily shook her head to clear it. Oh, it's okay. My head kind of hurts, though. Just a minute. Let me get you some ice for your head, okay? Said Mr. Xanadu. This is my mother's house, so we should be safe here. I couldn't be in Celestia's hooves not being able to leave without guards by my side, or being treated differently because I'm a ruler, not wanted to be executed and such. These are some nice pony nappers. Yeah, they're pretty. On the evil scale, they're like a 2 out of 10. Celestia slowly nodded and Mr. Xanadu trotted off to get the ice. Celestia used the opportunity to scan the house. It was a relatively nice place. It was nothing extravagant like some of the nobles' houses, but it certainly was cozy. She looked back at her kidnappers and gave them a reassuring smile to signify that she was okay. Something that eased the noticeable tension in their bodies. Mr. Xanadu returned with an ice pack and placed it on her head. Celestia thanked him and glanced out the window. Thankfully, Luna was doing a good job lowering the sun to raise the moon. It would seem night has fallen upon us. Her kidnappers also looked out the window and nodded. Seems so, Mr. Xanadu agreed. Time to hit the hay, I wager. Time to hit the hay, I wager? Miss Razzmatazz yawned. Yeah, I think that sounds like a good idea. She turned to Mr. Xanadu. What are the accommodations? There's a couch over there and 3 rooms upstairs, he explained, pointing towards a nearby stairwell. He turned his attention to Celestia. How are we going to deal with you? I can't imagine the chair is comfortable. Celestia shrugged as best as she could. I see no issue currently, but after a while it might get taxing. Mr. Xanadu nodded. I would imagine so. He took a length of rope out of his saddlebag. Okay, this obviously won't stop you if you're really trying. But we trust you, okay? Celestia nodded, prompting Mr. Xanadu to fire up his horn. The ropes around Celestia fell away, while one was levitating, twisted itself into a sort of leash, which he slipped around Celestia's neck. He beckoned her forwards, and she followed him towards the couch. He tied the other end of the rope around the banister. I'm sorry about this. We wouldn't want to go through all of this trouble just to have you escape and tell the guards where we are. Oh, I understand, said Celestia as she hopped onto the couch. Don't worry, though. I won't escape. Miss Razzmatazz smiled warmly at Celestia. Well, that's good, Miss Skies. The mare trotted over to the adjacent couch and laid down on it. You just get some rest now, and we'll try to sort things out in the morning. After a round of goodnights, Celestia laid down on the couch and closed her eyes. She grinned and chuckled to herself. This is awesome. I'm still going to beat them up with Batman combos mixed with some Spider-Man combos, but they will love with half of their lives. Okay. Scene change. Live with half of their lives. Got it. Where was I? Scene change. Morning arrived in the house, waking Celestia instantly. She looked out the window and saw her sun rising in the sky. Good job, Lulu. She swiveled her ear when she heard 2 sets of footsteps coming down the stairs. She sat up and smiled at her captors. Good morning, mares and gentle colts. Good morning, Miss Skies, said Miss Follow. Did you sleep well? Oh, very. Thank you very much. Celestia turned her attention to Miss Razzmatazz, who was just waking up. Good morning, Miss Razzmatazz. The yawning mare raised her hoof in greeting. Morning. So, breakfast? Mr. Xanadu motioned over to the kitchen. I think that my mother has some stuff here we could use. If not, I'm sure we could run out and get something. The group of ponies heard a thud. The group of ponies heard a thud on the front door, electing a smile from Mr. Xanadu. Ah, that's the morning paper. I'll get it, said Miss Razzmatazz. You get breakfast going. Mr. Xanadu nodded and trotted over to the kitchen as Miss Razzmatazz opened the door. Her horn flared up, and the paper was enveloped in a magical aura. She trotted back over to the sitting room and sat down next to Miss Follow as she opened the paper. Anything good? Miss Follow questioned. Miss Razmataz didn't answer. Oh, no. I thought she got mugged, not nabbed. Yeah, I guess she... At first she got mugged, and then she got kidnapped. I think the ponies wrote the story, and now and now all of Equestria knows that Celestia. You mean pony napped? Yes, I mean pony napped. Miss Razmataz didn't answer. She merely stared at the front page of the paper. Her mouth and eyes were wide open as she scanned the page. Oh dear. Oh no, here it comes. Mr. Xanadu popped his head out of the kitchen. What? Is there a problem? Princess Celestia has been kidnapped, Miss Razmataz cried. Celestia's kidnapper simultaneously gasped, and even Celestia herself listened intently. Wonder how they found out. What happened? Asked Mr. Xanadu. It says here that Princess Celestia left the castle in disguise yesterday and was kidnapped by a powerful cult of ponies while she was at her weakest. Another gasp went through the group. How can they do that? Miss Follow whimpered. Mr. Xanadu's eyes narrowed. Why, if I ever came across those nasty ponies who's kidnapped her, I'd introduce them to my hooves. I'd buck them into next century. Does it say anything else? Asked Miss Follow. It says that she was disguised as a pink-maned Pegasus named Sunny Skies. Miss Razmataz went on. That would... The atmosphere in the room evaporated as realization hit each of the kidnappers. One by one, each of the ponies turned their heads towards Princess Celestia. Celestia, for her part, had the largest smile on her face this entire time. Laughter was forcing its way up into her throat, but she forced it back down. It was Mr. Xanadu who finally managed to speak up, despite the fact that she was leaning on the couch for support as if he had just had several heart attacks. Oh. And that's all he could say was oh. Well, we have 2 more chapters. And ironically enough, the next chapter is called ... Oh. But we're going to take a short break. I'm going to copy the chapter in the thing. I'm going to unpin this. I'm going to copy the chapter. I'm going to pin the chapter. But before I start reading, I will hit you guys with a BRB. I'm going to play some music. And we're going to take run like a 3-minute ad, and then we're going to finish up this story. So stick around. I'll be back. All right. Second to last chapter. Oh. I love the name of this chapter. Oh, Mr. Xanadu repeated. He gulped and began blinking rapidly. Oh. Princess Celestia widened her grin and cocked her head. Is there a problem, Mr. Xanadu? No, Mr. Xanadu collapsed onto his haunches and stared dumbly at the floor. Miss Razmataz's ear twitched, and she let the newspaper fall to the floor. You're Princess Celestia? Princess Celestia tapped her lower jaw. Am I? She grinned and examined one of her forelegs. Well, I don't exactly look like Princess Celestia, do I? Mr. Xanadu groaned and put his head in his hose. This was supposed to be so easy. Just a simple mugging and kidnapping for ransom. Alright. Well, if I may say so, you pretty much messed up on every count. Princess Celestia pointed out. She chuckled and shook her head. You have no idea how hard it was for me to not laugh when Mr. Carrot delivered the ransom note by hoof. The room was silent save for the intense, labored breathing of Miss Follow. Princess Celestia frowned and cocked her head. Miss Follow, are you okay? No. Miss Follow whimpered. No, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't go back to jail. Miss Follow shot to her hooves and bolted in the direction of the front door. I gotta get out of here. Miss Follow fired up her horn and her magical glow encased the doorknob. She threw the door open, but screamed and promptly slammed it shut. What? What is it? Asked Mr. Xanadu. The Royal Guard is out there. Miss Follow collapsed. Miss Follow collapsed onto the floor and began rocking back and forth. They know where we are. Now hold on a moment. Mr. Xanadu closed his eyes and leaned his head against a wall. If they know where we are, then they would have already bucked the door down. Bucked down the door. We can still get out of this if we just think. Mrs. Follow whimpered as Miss Razzmatazz walked over to hug her. Now, how many guards are out there? Miss Follow sniffed and wiped her eyes with a foreleg. She slowly stood up and tried to back over to the door and peeked out a window next to it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Miss Follow collapsed onto her haunches again and leaned her head against the wall. All of them. I think. Mr. Xanadu nodded and straightened up. Well, that does complicate things a little bit. Are they coming this way? They're going door to door, Miss Follow moaned. Well, if they are here, we just have to pretend we're not home. Miss Razzmatazz sat back down on the couch. It's not like they can just break down the door. They can. It was at that precise moment that the Royal Guards began pounding on the door, causing all three kidnappers to jump. This is the Royal Guard. A voice that Celestia recognized as Shining Armor barked. Please open the door at once. Mr. Xanadu quietly put his hoof to his lips in a shushing motion and pointed to the door nearest the couch. He mouthed the word basement and tip-hooved towards the door. His fellows nodded and began tip-hooving themselves. Another loud pounding on the door made them jump again, but they remained silent. Who is it? Princess Celestia called out. God damn it. Stretching her throat slightly to make her voice more high-pitched, the kidnappers stared at her in horror, and Mr. Xanadu looked over to a nearby wooden plank and a pile of firewood. It's the Royal Guard, ma'am, Shining Armor replied. If you could please come to the door, we have some questions we'd like to ask you. Oh, I'm sorry. We can't come to the door right now, Celestia replied. We? Mr. Xanadu inched over to the plank and grasped it with his front hooves. He raised it over his head, then swung downwards. The board connected with Celestia's head, and the force of the strike snapped the board in two. There's that pillow feeling again. Ma'am, if there is more than one of you in there, why can't one of you come to the door? Shining Armor questioned. This is a really important matter. Celestia leaned back on the couch and tapped her lower jaw with her hoof. Well, I can't come to the door because I'm a little tied up right now. The other three can't come to the door because they're frozen in place. Does that answer your question? Tied up? Indeed, I am. I have a rope leash around my neck that's securing me to a banister. Celestia reclined on the couch and fired up her horn. Her sunny skies disguise... what the fuck? Her sunny skies disguise washed away, revealing her true form. With another spell, she slipped the rope leash off. Well, maybe not anymore, but I promise you I did. Silence was the only reaction from the other side of the door for a moment. Princess Celestia turned her head to her kidnappers and smiled warmly at them. Something that didn't help their moods. Mr. Xanadu and Miss Razzmatazz were holding on to each other, and Miss Follow had fainted dead away. Finally, Celestia heard Shining Armor sigh. Princess, is that you? Celestia hopped off of the couch and walked in front of the door. She fired up her horn and opened it to reveal a scowling Shining Armor and two stone-faced royal guards. Good morning, sirs. Would you like to come in? Oh my god. Shining Armor grunted and face-hoofed. You were never in any danger at all, were you? Celestia shook her head. Not for a moment, my little pony. I can tell you that this has all been great fun. For you, maybe, Shining Armor grumbled. He motioned to the guard on his right. Go get Princess Luna. I know she'll want to know all about this. The guard saluted and took wing. Princess Celestia moved aside to allow Shining Armor and the other guard access to the house. She beckoned them towards the sitting room where three ponies were still sitting or had fainted. Shining Armor groaned and rubbed one of his temples. You have got to be kidding me. Princess. Wait, you have got to be kidding me, Princess. These are the ponies who kidnapped you? Technically, I just played along, Celestia admitted. Oh, right. Of course you did. Shining Armor deadpanned. Shining Armor deeply exhaled and shook his head. It was at this moment that what seemed to be an earthquake ripped through the house. Princess Celestia raised an eyebrow and turned her head to see Princess Luna standing in the now destroyed doorway. Her wings were flared out to their full length, and a snarl was etched on her face. Celestia returned her sister's expression with a smile. Oh, good morning, Lulu. You do not get to say good morning to me, Tia, Luna screeched. You! Celestia walked over to her sister and raised a hoof. Luna, calm down. I'm perfectly fine. Oh, how wonderful for you, Luna snarled. Have you considered the personal Tartarus I have experienced? Celestia sighed and closed her eyes as she put a hoof on Luna's shoulder. Lulu, I admit I might not have been thinking about what you had to go through, and for that I am sorry. Luna growled and slapped Celestia's hoof away. We had to deal with that rabble you call the nobility upon your kidnapping. On top of that, the press got wind of your little day off with those foul nags. Is that a slur? Oh yes, we read about that in the morning paper. Celestia chuckled and glanced back at the sitting room. I might have to save a clipping. Luna slammed her hose on the ground. Have you no shame, Tia? Why do you pretend that no great consequences have come from this? Because I do not believe as such. Celestia put her hoof back on Luna's shoulder. No pony got hurt. Least of all, me, and I have to admit I did have fun. Those poor ponies who kidnapped me were an all-right sort. There was no true malice behind their actions. Celestia's smile returned. Besides, you've been asking me for more time in court to get used to dealing with the nobles. Excuse me. Not like that, Tia. Luna leaned forwards until her snout touched her sister's. If you think that you shall ever receive another day off, you are mistaken. In fact, I think that no cake shall be had by you forever. Celestia frowned and leaned back. Now, Lulu, let's not say things we cannot take back. Luna huffed and walked past Celestia. I have nothing further to say to you for the day, Tia. Luna cracked her neck and trotted over to the sitting room where the three kidnappers remained. Luna's scowl deepened, and she flared out her wings once more. Explain yourselves! What possessed you to commit such a heinous act? Upon seeing Luna's rage, Mr. Zandu's eyes rolled in the back of his head, and he fainted dead away, leaving Miss Razzmatazz as the only conscious kidnapper. Oh, come on, she moaned. Luna's eyes narrowed, and she took a step forward. I am waiting for your answer. Miss Razzmatazz chuckled weakly and dropped McXanadu on the ground. Well, I think we did it mostly for the money. You stole money from my sister? Oh, not really, Luna, Celestia assured her. I won it all back playing poker. Luna growled and faced us so hard, a loud slapping noise echoed throughout the house. You are bucking kidding me, Tia. Miss Razzmatazz gulped and scooted away. We didn't hurt her at all, I think. You think? Luna's eyes began glowing white. You think? Lulu, please calm down. As I said, no harm befell me. They did not hurt me, nor did they intend to do so. We just wanted a little money to support ourselves, Miss Razzmatazz whimpered. It was just to pay the bills for a few months until one of us got a job. Miss Razzmatazz motioned over to the two unconscious ponies. See, we all went to school together, and we thought that we could pay the rent easier if we split it. Then, Miss Razzmatazz lowered her head and flattened her ears. We lost our jobs. We tried to open up our own spa, but it didn't work out. Miss Razzmatazz sighed and shook her head. It's too bad. Mr. Nakarat is the best masseur I've ever met. Indeed, he is, Luna mumbled. Celestia grinned and raised an eyebrow, electing another glare from Luna. It is none of your business, Tia. Yeah, he gave me a naked massage. What of it? I see. Celestia turned back the shining armor. Captain Armor, if you would please escort these three to the palace, I would like to discuss their future in a more comfortable setting. Miss Razzmatazz whimpered. Miss Razzmatazz whimpered and lowered her head, starting with a partial pardon for all three of you. Miss Razzmataz's eyes widened as she snapped her head back up. Do you really mean it? Celestia smiled and nodded. What you did was wrong, my little pony. But if you wish to atone in a way that doesn't end with your imprisonment, I will not stop you. You shall work off your debt. Miss Razzmatazz leapt to her hooves and smiled. Do you really mean it? Celestia nodded, and Miss Razzmatazz let out a squeal of delight. However, her smile slowly fell, and she glanced back at her two accomplices. What about Mr. Nakarat? You didn't say you were going to pardon him. Celestia's smile widened ever so slightly, and she turned her head to Luna. I will leave that up to Princess Luna here. Luna cocked her head and raised an eyebrow. Me? Celestia nodded. Indeed, sister. You were the one who captured him, after all. Are you willing to imprison or execute the proclaimed best masseur in Equestria? Luna's left eye twitched, and her glare returned full force. That is not fair, Tia. Luna growled and closed her eyes. Pardoned, he shall share the fate of his fellows. Very well, sister, said Celestia. Then we will, but only after another back rub. So Luna blurted out Luna blurted out, okay, well. Scene change. That afternoon saw the group back at the palace. Princess Celestia revived the 3 unconscious kidnappers and informed them of their fate. They would be given jobs in the palace relating to their special talents. On top of that, she hinted that she might use them to prank some of the nobles that came through the castle. She had Shining Armor escort the elated kidnappers to the servants' quarters to begin their training. Luna had left to go to her room not long after that. It was clear that she was still quite miffed about the whole thing. Before she left, though, she beckoned Mr. Carrot to follow her. The carrot. Finally, Celestia herself went back to her room, having canceled court that day. She sighed contentedly and reclined on her bed, allowing herself to sink into her pillows. They could reach her here if she needed anything, but it was time to unwind from the events of the past few days. Celestia sighed and snuggled into the sheets, ready for a nice long nap. Scene change. Celestia awoke a few hours later. She glanced at the clock and saw that it was time to lower the sun. If anything, she was a few minutes late on that. She stretched out her wings and cracked her neck before firing up her horn. Slowly the sun lowered in the sky, disappearing over the horizon after a minute. As a reversal of her actions, Celestia saw the moon rise into the sky before coming to a halt at its peak. Celestia smiled as the moonbeams filtered through her window. She figured that it was a good time to get a little snack. So she opened the door to her bedroom only to find her sister standing on the other side with her hoof raised. Oh, good evening, sister. Luna frowned and lowered her hoof. Tia, I wish to speak to you about the events of the past few days. Celestia chuckled and waved her hoof. Oh, Luna, I told you that I'm fine. They couldn't have hurt me if they wanted to, and they didn't want to hurt me anyway. That's not what I mean, Tia, Luna snapped. I am glad to see you are unhurt, but there was more to this whole situation than your day off. Celestia's smile faded as she cocked her head. Luna, I know they were desperate because they were in poverty. While they were being punished, I am using their skills for good. Mr. Xanadu is coordinating relief efforts. Miss Follow is learning how to cook in the kitchens. And Miss Razzmatazz is planning pranks for the nobles, on top of managing the finances for the 3 of them. Celestia's smile returned. Not to mention that you and Mr. Carrot seem to be getting along quite nicely. Tia, can you think of nothing but yourself? Luna slammed her hoof on the floor, leaving cracks where it impacted. Did you ever stop to consider how I would react to such news that you were taken by some unknown group? Celestia put a hoof on Luna's shoulder. Celestia put a hoof on Luna's shoulder. Holy shit. Lulu, you did a fine job both with the nobles and the rescue attempts. I was scared, Tia. A sob coursed through Luna's body, and she pushed her sister's hoof off. I received news that some group had taken you, and I didn't know what was going on. Yes, they were asking for a mere ransom, but how was I supposed to know that you had allowed yourself to be kidnapped for fun? If they had known who you were and were still able to capture you, how was I supposed to handle that? Luna, Celestia looked into her sister's tear-filled eyes and flattened her ears. You were right, of course. I wasn't thinking. It's just that it was so exhilarating. I know I was in no danger, but it almost felt dangerous. It broke the monotone of dealing with the nobles without being a national crisis of some kind. You did not think of me, Tia, Luna mumbled. I did not know what I would have done had you actually been injured. It scared me. Celestia gave her sister a small smile and wrapped her in a hug. Warped her in a hug? Luna leaned her head against Celestia's shoulder and returned the hug. I'm sorry. Had I thought for a moment that this would happen, I would have never done it. It was just a bit of fun on my part. I'm sorry if it hurt you. I am just glad you are safe, Tia. A smile stretched across Luna's face. I do not suppose that you shall accept my order of no more cake. Celestia chuckled. No, Luna, I don't think that I will. No, I don't think I will. Curse mother for eating it so much when I was in the womb. Luna snorted. She ate peanut butter and pickle sandwiches with me, Tia. Celestia wrinkled her snout in disgust. Even with that, I will never understand your fondness for them. Celestia released her sister. I mean, really, peanut butter? Peanut butter? I mean, really, peanut butter? And pickles? Luna's smile widened as she shrugged. If you do not wish to partake in that treat, you do not have to. Luna chuckled and tapped her jaw. If you shall not accept our punishment of no cake, I shall have to think of up some other nefarious scheme. Celestia raised an eyebrow. I see. She snorted and crossed her forelegs. Not to tempt fate, but hit me with your best shot. All right. Last chapter. Epilogue time. Epilogue. Only 700 words here. Let's get this going. Paste. Wait, let's get rid of this. Unpin. Post. Pin. Yes. Get out of here. Alright. Let's finish this. Epilogue. Princess Luna reclined belly down on her favorite comfy couch as Mr. Nakarit gently massaged her back. He worked out a particularly large knot and Luna gave a long, content sigh. You are truly wonderful. Mr. Nakarit chuckled and dug one of his hooves into her back. I do my best. Thank you for not obliterating me for kidnapping your sister. Yes, let that be a lesson to you, Luna said with a half-hearted wave of her oath. Mr. Nakarit chuckled and moved to her neck. It's funny. I think I remember having some kind of dream with you. You didn't look like you, though. You looked a little younger. He laughed again. I think I tried to seduce you, but I ended up giving you a belly rub instead. Luna cleared her throat and looked towards the ceiling. Oh, yes. That does sound like an interesting dream. Maybe that's how you knew I gave such good back rubs? Mr. Nakarit chortled. You don't happen to dreamwalk, do you? Luna bit her lip and rubbed her two front hooves together as she formulated a response, but she was fortunately spared having to come up with one when the other three kidnappers walked into the room. She motioned for Mr. Nakarit to cease his back rub and sat up on her couch. Good evening, mares and gentle colt. The three kidnappers bowed low to the floor. Good evening, Princess Luna, said Mr. Xanadu. I trust that you have no complaints as to the state of your employment. Miss Razzmatazz chuckled and nodded. I must say that I never really saw myself having a job as a castle nobility prankster. But, she shrugged, there you go. And what have you been working on as of late? Luna questioned. Well, on top of our pranking job, Princess Celestia is having us helping out with relief efforts for some of the lower income ends of Canterlot so no pony else makes our mistakes, said Mrs. Follow. Miss Razzmatazz nodded and turned her head to Miss Follow. What did she say about that? We had an insider's perspective that the nobility didn't have or something like that? Miss Follow nodded. Something like that. At any rate, Mr. Xanadu pulled a blueprint out of his apron pocket and unrolled it onto the floor. As you can see here, a group of 6 nobles will be joining Princess Celestia for dinner tomorrow evening. she said. She said that we should think up something special for them in the event that the dinner is not as cordial as she would like. This fellow held down one of the ends of the blueprint and pointed to the diagram in the center. Basically, what's going to happen is that the nobles sitting here, and here will be given soup laced with slow-acting sleeping powder. If we time it right, they should fall asleep when they're walking out of their carriages. She plans for them to wake up in the kitchen somewhere, but we're not quite sure the exact location. Mr. Asmataz pointed to X markers on the blueprint. As I understand it, these two nobles here are banned from eating cake in the castle as punishment for something or other. I heard the cause was foal-like quarreling, Luna confirmed. Mr. Xanadu shrugged. Whatever the case may be, Princess Celestia has requested that they be served moon pies instead. Luna's jaw dropped and she shot to her host. I demand your explanation, revealing why moon pies are a punishment. Mr. Razzmatazz shrugged. I don't know. Princess Celestia wanted it that way. Mr. Xanadu motioned back to the map. As we were saying, apparently the sixth noble is some pony named Fancy Pants. We're not supposed to do anything to him. Luna scowled and took the blueprint in her magic. This hate for moon pies is ridiculous, Luna grumbled. However, I have more serious matters to attend to. I have called you here to discuss a matter of grave importance. The three ponies bowed again. We are willing to do whatever it takes to pay our debt to you and Princess Celestia, said Miss Fallow. Luna nodded and slipped the blueprint back to Mr. Xanadu's apron. Slipped the blueprint back into Mr. Xanadu's apron. Excellent. Princess Luna moved in front of the three and sat down on her haunches. How would you like to help me prank Tia? And that's how it ends. Oh boy. Okay. All right. She's gonna get her revenge. She's gonna get her revenge. That's what's gonna happen. Good story. I like this story. Okay, all right. Great story, actually. Wait, can I bring back the... Yeah, that's a really good story. I'm so happy that, like, Scribbler has given me a list of fan fiction that I can just choose from. And I trust her taste immensely. So I guess next Sunday we're going to, like, spin the wheel again and see what it lands on.